Alright, there's a couple things I want to look at here today. Be a real quick video. It's been a minute since I've had an official video. I've been doing them all like this, right on the dashboard, and not really editing. So I want to get back to editing soon. That's my point. So I want to talk about a couple things. I know you've seen the title. I'll get into the Yu Yu Hakusho thing later, but I'll start off talking about this right here, okay? The DMCA that got issued out to manga decks. If you don't know, mangadex.org is a really popular manga site. I use it. A lot of people use it, okay? I'm going to have to start screenshotting the tab so I can find out which manga I was reading before I click on the page, and then it just resets and the name disappears and I don't know what the manga's called. There's a lot of them in Japanese, so I lose my tabs quick. But I digress, right? So this strike is not just going to affect manga, okay? If you're somebody who does not use official websites or platforms for both manga or anime, when you consume your manga and anime, this is eventually going to make its way to the anime sites too. It's going to affect you eventually. They were talking about striking down on the animes and stuff about a year or two ago. And, they've been talking about it, and they've been slowly working their way towards doing this thing and, cracking down on people and getting the licenses out for more animes and manga to be spread officially, So if they're trying to do it more officially in the same turn, they're going to be getting rid of the non-official sources, okay? Earlier this year, for One Piece and other mangas, Jujutsu Kaisen, JJK, when it was still running, it got hit. The leakers, so I'm referring to the leakers, the people who leaked the mangas and all that, they started hitting them early. So they had to start off in Japan, hitting the people in Japan who get the physical copies early and spread them on the internet so people can translate them to English. So it's been a long time coming. Okay, it's only starting so far with this. Okay, and like what this is saying right here, some of them may not even be known due to how underground and niche they are. There's over 7,000 titles. I'm not going to get into all the titles, but a lot of them I was reading. Some of them I heard about and I would like to have read in the future, but I can no longer do it, okay? Or I have to find a new site, which I will not name here, because there's still a lot of other sites out there. I'm not going to name them, so I'm not going to contribute to them shits getting taken down. People need to learn to just not make the sites popular. This site was getting shared all day. Of course they're going to find it, okay? So, next subject, right? One Piece. There's always One Piece, right? I'll have some more topics and other things to talk about on my channel. I want to make another Avatar video. I have a Berserk video coming up. When I do the Berserk video, that will be edited. It's going to be a fully edited video about Berserk. But I want to talk about this little One Piece news, okay? The author, Oda. If you don't know who Oda is, obviously it's the One Piece author, right? He said something earlier this week. I don't want to read the whole sentence right here, but basically he says he doesn't like having future developments of One Piece predicted by theorists, okay? And when he says predicted by the theorists, he means when they accurately predict things in One Piece. So long story short, he doesn't like theories and people poking around in his story, getting things right, okay? So there was a Japanese YouTuber, Uteron, okay, and he has multiple other names, but we're just going to refer to him as Uteron because that's the most popular name everybody knows him as. You see him with the Daft Punk helmet before Shaka Vegapunk, if you know who that is, the character in One Piece. Before he was even wearing it, this guy was doing that. He's been making One Piece theories for years. He announced his retirement recently because of Oda's statement, and it happened really quick, back to back, okay, within the same week basically. And of course, with Oda making that statement comes people not liking his statement, okay? When you have an opinion, of course people are free to express their opinion about your opinion. People don't like this. He says Oda's a weak man. He'd rather throw away everything he built for the sake of a few shocking moments, replacing it with something worse just to be called unpredictable. If fans are predicting future events through theories, that means they actually understand the story. Okay, and why does he say this? It's because I hope I have the screenshot. Well, I don't think I have the screenshot, but you know, Oda is the type of writer who he's gone on record for saying something before, similar to what I'm about to say now. He said before that, you know, he will, if somebody has predicted something or he heard something or somebody wants him to do something in the story, he'll go out of his way to not do that, just to ruin it or, you know, subvert the expectations or whatever. So basically, with what this guy is saying, he's not being completely far-fetched by saying he'd rather throw away everything he built for the sake of a few shocking moments, replacing it with something worse, just to be called unpredictable. Now, whether or not what he's replacing it with, if that's worse or not all the time, he does, in fact, replace things. He'll just sit there and he'll throw the shit out and he'll replace the story, okay? And he'll replace the moment or something like that. You know, and then this goes to, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with this quote from George R.R. Martin. When he said, "I've been planting all these clues that the butler did it." Then you're halfway through a series and suddenly thousands of people have figured out the butler did it. Then you say the chambermaid did it instead? No, you can't do that. So he was talking about, you know, something and you know, about why he wouldn't do this sort of thing that Oda claims that he would do. And that, you know, based on his recent statements and not liking predictions, who knows how many times he's done it already? You know what I mean? Like how many predictions people have gotten right. People have gotten a lot of predictions right. For some, I heard the spoilers. I don't know where, like when you're watching this video, but the spoilers for when this video came out, I've heard spoilers for this week for One Piece's new chapter. And something that happens is something that a lot of people predicted. Since the character was introduced in this new arc, people predicted this thing. And, you know, yeah, it turns out it's true. So I wonder if he's gonna try to completely change that shit now, right? Is he gonna write the character off? Who knows? That's a side note. Another side note, okay. That's enough of that tab. We're talking about animes. I don't know which one to go into first. First of all, let's talk about this first, okay? Vincent Chancer. I'm sure we all most likely know him by now, right? He is the animator working at Toei Animation, who's been making a big upstart or a big name for himself in the most recent times because of his amazing animation and the work that he's done on One Piece with his realistic character acting animation. I don't know if you know what character acting is, but you know, I explain the things for the people who already know. You might get annoyed at me explaining something you already know, but you just remember, like I say all the time, I speak as if I'm also speaking to the people who don't know, the people who are here to understand and learn things, right? So yeah, the character acting animation, like when a character is like even just talking, like, you know, I don't know if you guys remember the scene in One Piece, like something like that. Characters talking and their emotions are being conveyed through the movements and, you know, their facial expressions and their body language is there. It's all present in the scene, okay? He's really good at animating character acting and action, okay? Having really flexible animators that can do multiple styles really well is a good animator to have on your team, okay? This is him. So I get the whole Vincent introduction out of the way. My point for bringing him up is, in recent times, we know a lot of people are saying One Piece is over animated or this is over animated. You know, I heard that about a fight in Jujutsu Kaisen. People, I think that's ignorance. Plain and simple, it's ignorance, okay? Ignorance meaning, obviously, right, just the lack of understanding and the lack of knowledge. They don't know what over animation would consist of because they don't know what over animation even is. It's not a thing, okay? They wouldn't know what bad animation consists of. It just goes off of whether they like it or not. They don't know what truly makes it bad. For example, new season of Fire Force is out, and I wish I could show you the examples of the shows I'm talking about, but I don't want to risk getting copyrighted, okay? But so you're gonna have to bear with me and listen to me paint the picture, and you know, and also hopefully you have prior knowledge of what I'm talking about. But Fire Force, if you haven't been watching Fire Force, you should go look at it. But season 1 and 2 looked amazing. Season 1 looked the most amazing. David Productions, the same team that does JoJo, and they've done a lot of other animes that I'm not going to list off right now. But I digress. So this team made season 1 of Fire Force look phenomenal. Okay, it looks amazing. Season 2 looks really fucking good too. Season 3, noticeably, and it's not even really just an opinion, it's kind of objective, that season 3 does not look as good as season 1 and 2. As far as like the quality and like what types of high level animation they're doing, like Shinra, the camera's not panning around Shinra's feet and showing all the crazy action scenes. We didn't get anything like that. You know, it's more toned down what you would expect from I don't want to say a lesser anime, but an anime that's not on this level as far as like the bar's been set for production quality, right? Without digressing too much, I'll leave that there. So just because the quality has actually gone down. Another example, One Punch Man Season 2. One Punch Man Season 2 is not animated trash. We've seen trash animation with stuff that was in Dragon Ball Super's early stages and stuff. We've seen trash, bad animation. One Punch Man Season 2 was not complete trash. It was not the quality that One Punch Man is set for us though. Understandably so. So people get mad at that. That's understandable, right? Something like One Piece, where they have objectively, they have taken the quality and upped it and moved it up a whole tier. How can you still look at One Piece and try to say that it's not good? It's not doing good. It's not good in general. How can you even try to say something like that? It almost doesn't make sense. The way people so confidently will try to portray or just say that One Piece like is not a good or like, you know, a top quality anime or something like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you know, I'm saying in general now, not at One Piece, but like what we've been seeing so far recently from One Piece is not top quality animation and all that, right? I don't know if they're letting their bias get in the way or whatever, but this new phrase of over animation doesn't make any sense. And let me stop digressing for so long, right? I will play for you what the creator himself had to say, the animator himself had to say about One Piece. So listen to this real quick.
So it's like what over animation would. So
My
it's
bad.
like
My bad. When I was recording the video myself, it looped over. So here.
Like I'm not sure what over animation would. So it's like for a scene like Luffy versus Kizaru, like I'm not sure what over animation would mean. Like one guy is literally the god of the sun, and the other one is literally light. Like what would be overacting that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what would be too much for something that's already so far beyond the boundaries of imagination? So it's like
Okay, so we heard it out of his own mouth right there. He said, what would even be overacting something like that? A scene between two powerful gods, a sun god and a god, basically a man of light. He's like a god of light fighting. How could you over animate something like that? And this is coming from the perspective of an animator who understands that when you're animating in general, you're capturing and mimicking real life to an extent already. Okay, so when you have Luffy stretching his arm out, he has to lift his arm up like a person would lift their arm up. Everything after that is, of course, that's when the fantastical and the fiction and fantasy stuff comes into play. So just the simple animations, like these are people. This is what he's saying. These are people fighting on a scale that's so fantastical. How could I over-exaggerate movements that are already unrealistic in the first place, right? So some people were saying he doesn't understand the question, which I think is kind of disrespectful, but let's play devil advocates for a second, right? Maybe he didn't understand that they meant like, no, we understand that the people, the characters are so fantastical, they have to fight in a crazy way. But, I don't even know how to play devil advocate for these people, but they're basically trying to say that even with them being like these fantastical beings, that what was going on screen, like what we saw on screen, was so hard to see and it just wasn't enjoyable. I don't even know how to defend that point, okay? Because for me, I just keep thinking how ignorant that sounds. So I said I was gonna play devil's advocate. My bad. I failed y'all. I can't even do that. I don't understand that point at all. Okay, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I'm gonna try to do this whole video one shot, no editing. So let's not rant about the over animation for too long. I will try to make a better video about that. If somebody has questions about that, if y'all interested in that sort of shit, just comment down below. I will answer your questions. So tell you whatever else I think about that, and I will I'll make a video about it, because I do want to make a video about that. I want to throw that as a topic into this video right here. So the last topic right here, animes again. Of course, that's what the channel's for. But we're talking this time about the anime remakes that are like on the horizon. Okay, the anime remakes that are on the horizon and the ones that are been already happening. Now I was gonna have a video about this too, but somebody summed it up for me perfectly. I would have went into more detail about what animes have been remade, but he summed it up perfectly. Like, since 2019, we've been getting a lot of remakes of old school animes. Okay, I'll summarize this too and translate it for you so you can understand, because a lot of you might not know what Fruits Basket and Ranma's One Half is. These are old animes. Ranma One Half, that's from the Inuyasha creator. Okay, Fruits Baskets, that's a reverse harem love romance, I guess, because this a girl with multiple male protagonists to pick from as a romance option, and they all like her and they're all trying to get her. But I digress, right? Okay. Old animes have been getting remade, and they've been doing really fucking good, by the way. Fist of the North Star is another one that had a little remake, and Rurouni Kenshin, that's another one. I can't keep going down the whole list of anime remakes. If you want me to dive into old school anime remakes, worry not, okay? Because I will have a video about that. You don't even have to ask me for that. I'll have a video about that soon. So, and then we know about the One Piece remake. If you don't, then I have a video about it. Go check that out. So, like this guy's saying, it proves the industry is eager to revisit its most popular titles. Like Dragon Ball is one of the most likely candidates, first potential candidates to come into mind when thinking of a series that could use a modern code of pen. As it turns out, a long-time animator of the series is open to the idea. Okay, so then we hear about Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru was a young animator when hired on 1989's Dragon Ball Z, and more than 3 decades later, he sat down with the French YouTube channel's DB Times to discuss his work on the recently completed Dragon Ball Daima. The artist, credited with designing the fan-favorite Super Saiyan 4 transformation, has given a significant portion of his life's work to the franchise, and discussed topics like his own art style and his least favorite character to draw, which is probably Cell for everybody. It's probably Cell. Everybody hates drawing Cell. Okay. The most notable section, however, had to do with the topic of remaking the series. So this just goes into, after this goes into his, want and desire to remake Dragon Ball, because, as it says, he's been working on it for so long. He loves contributing to Dragon Ball, and it's just something a lot of animators would just like to see old Dragon Ball remade, because they can achieve so much more, and they got better ideas, and they have a better time frame to work with. So I won't go into too much detail about it here, but yes, the old school Dragon Ball Z anime was amazing, and it's legendary because it's great, and it still is great to this day. But it does not hold the test of time in every area. Even back then, it was a noticeable drag in certain areas with how, it would take long for things to happen. The pacing of the episodes and how many chapters of a manga and pages of a manga are being adapted into each episode. Like how many frames on a page is being adapted into each episode. It would take so long to get to the point sometimes. That was even noticeable back then for a lot of the people who really love the manga and animes and were watching them back then, especially the animators, the people working on it. They noticed it. That's why a lot of them got this desire to want to remake and reanimate this thing, because it would just look so nice and it would do well. We've seen a little bit of Dragon Ball remade pictures, and I can't go find my screenshots right now. It'll take too long. But the screenshots and pictures from the superhero movie, okay, when they had the early flashback when everybody was young and it was like Cell and everybody, boom, you know, it was a whole flashback of, you know, Kid Goku. It started up with an opening cinematic of Kid Goku fighting the Red Ribbon Army, and it was hand animated and drawn. They've been wanting to do and go back and touch the old series with this new touch and new perspectives and talent that they have. They've been wanting to do that forever. That's why they keep going back and trying to reanimate it and drawing it back in Toriyama's old style as close as they can. They've been wanting to do it forever, okay? They have been. And Dragon Ball is not the only anime that could benefit from this, okay? Like I said, there's been a lot of remakes, as you see up here, with Ranma and all these other, you know, Fruit Baskets and Rurouni Kenshin and Fist of the North Star. And I can keep going on. There's a lot of joints, right? But there's another one right here that's supposedly in the works that people think is going to be Siren, okay? Now, according to the latest issue of Total Licensing, Japanese anime company Remake is working on a yet undisclosed Shonen Jump anime project for a series that ended 15 years ago and is still highly requested by fans to get animated. Now, Siren is a very likely candidate for this, but this is what I titled the video after, or was part of the title. I think it's going to be Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, yes, this reads as if, like, you know, it's a request of a show that's never been animated before, but it's just an anime project that's been getting worked on for a series that ended 15 years ago. Okay, still highly requested by fans to get animated. I think it could be a good chance of having a Yu Yu Hakusho remake. It could just be Siren. Which wouldn't be bad. You know, if they start, if it is this right here, if it is Siren, then this opens the door 100% for any old anime to get reanimated, or just an adaptation, point blank, period. You know what I mean? Like, so even those things that, like, cause this is a Black Torch to cancel. They got axed. They got canceled during this serialization. It got canceled. It's getting an anime. So literally anything is on the table, bro. Anything. It's on the table now. I guess maybe they're running out of ideas because the new shit is not as good. Maybe they're good. I don't know. Maybe they want to catch up. And they realize there's old money still to be had. I don't know. But whatever it is, we're going to benefit from it regardless. Okay? So I guess that's it from me. I'll talk about some of the topics I mentioned in this video separately and separate videos. Like I said, like this type of video style, I don't know. I don't think it's bad, but sometimes there's no direction. Sometimes it's not as coherent and cohesive as it could be, you know. And I would like sometimes to just have an isolated video about one thing. Even, you know, I've had some videos, I've done them like this on the desktop, you know, and they've been about one thing, but I'm still missing the cohesiveness. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I can work this out. Maybe I'll keep doing videos like this. I just gotta actually have my topics in plan and in mind before I make the video, like I did today. I had the topic and the subject and all that. What I'm gonna do, I had it all in mind so I can make the video, and that's it. But yeah, my next videos will definitely be about One Piece and Boruto. Still got a Berserk video coming. I will talk more about how people are ignorant to the animes and how what's good animation, what's bad animation. I want to make that. I want to make a video about how people's taste are changing too. It's probably going to be bundled up in that same topic video because that's a reflection of that. People's taste are changing because brains are getting smaller and shrinking. Thus, the animes are catering toward a people who don't need to be catered toward because they don't understand what good or bad content anime is, manga anyway, okay? They don't know. Half these people don't know what a good story ending is. Hey, but that's enough for me. If y'all wanted to hear me rant, I'd make more videos like this. If y'all want to hear me rant, let me know. I'll make more videos like this. Okay? I'm out.